Okay, everybody, welcome to the video, and before this video begins, where we will be talking about Hall of Famer Bob Gainey, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe and go follow the Mr. Stamkos Instagram account, because that is brand new and it's up and running. But yes, let's get on with it now. First of all, we got Bob Gainey here, and Bob Gainey is a left winger drafted 8th overall in 1973 by the Montreal Canadiens, who he played his whole season, or not season, who he played his whole career for. He was the captain from 1981 to 1989, and Bob Gainey is probably the most underrated and least known Hall of Famer that I can name, honestly, because when you look at his numbers, you wouldn't think that he's a Hall of Famer, with less than a point per game averaged throughout his career. Bob Gainey's not your typical Hall of Famer, but the things that he did do, he did very well. So let's begin in 1973-74, so just after he was drafted, he gets thrown into the lineup. 66 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points, a -9, and 34 penalty minutes. And this is when Montreal is up and coming, so they're not very good right now, but Bob Gainey next year will be very good. In 1974-75, he plays 80 games, 17 goals, 20 assists for 37 points, a +23 and 49 penalty minutes. And this season is really great because you have a guy who can play a great defensive game, and I'm not saying plus-minus judges a player's defensive ability. I'm just saying it's still good to notice. And also a guy who increased his point total by 27 points. So that's pretty great. And it's looking like things are going up for Gainey. 1975-76, he plays 78 games and only 15 goals and 13 assists for 28 points, but a +20 and 57 penalty minutes. So, so he takes a step back by 9 points, and he loses a 3 on the plus-minus. But this is just where things are starting to get started for, this is where things are just getting started for Bob Gainey. 1976-77, he plays 80 games, 14 goals, 19 assists for 33 points, a +31 and 41 penalty in minutes. This is a terrific year based on that +31, and I don't know where Montreal played Gainey, whether it was first, second, or third line. But this is a guy who, no matter where he played, he didn't really score a lot at all. But as we'll get to right now, 1977-78, the Selke Trophy was first introduced. And a lot of that kind of comes back to Gainey because of how dominant he was defensively as soon as he stepped into the NHL, despite that plus-minus. Bob Gainey, you could call the master of the Selke. He was just, honestly, probably the best defensive forward of all time. And I think they really considered making a Selke because of this guy right here. And when it became a thing, 77-78, where Gainey played 66 games, he had 31 points, including 15 goals, a +11 and 57 penalty minutes. Bob Gainey won it the first year. 1978-79, he plays 79 games, has 20 goals, 38 points, +11, 44 penalty minutes. He wins it again. 1979-80, he plays only 64 games with 14 goals and 33 points, a -2 and 32 penalty minutes. But he wins it again. And finally, in 1980-81, in 78 games, he puts up a career-high 23 goals, 24 assists, and 47 points. All those numbers are career highs. He puts up a +13 and 36 penalty minutes. And he wins the Selke for a 4th time in a row, a record that has not been broken since. And after this, Gainey's defensive ability didn't really falter at all. Because this is his first really full year as captain, his first year as captain. And he wins the Selke, but the first 4 Selkes he won in a row. And that's amazing. Also, in 1978-79, he won the Conn Smythe, which is really, really great. Playoff MVP for Montreal. And again, he's not a guy who got on the scoreboard a lot in those playoffs, but he was a shut-down player. Super amazing defensively. I think for people to realize how good Bob Gainey actually was, you had to grow up in that time where Bob Gainey was actually playing. And I can't say that I was there, so I don't know Bob Gainey's I don't have the full Bob Gainey experience, but I think that's what would have to happen. So now we go on to 1981-82, where Gainey plays 79 games, has 21 goals, 24 assists for 45 points, which is his second highest single-season numbers in his career. He has a +37 and 24 penalty minutes. In 1982-83, he puts up 80 games played, 12 goals, 18 assists for 30 points, a +7 and 43 penalty minutes. And I know we're running through this kind of quick, but these numbers are like third-line numbers, so I'm not going to stop and really talk about third-liners' numbers. So going on now to 83-84, we have 77 games played for Gainey, 17 goals, 22 assists for 39 points, a +10 and 41 penalty minutes. So through his first 10 years, Gainey has won 4 Selkies, he's won a Conn Smythe, and he's also won 4 Stanley Cups. And 4 of those Stanley Cups, all 4 of them actually were all in a row, starting from 76 and going down to 79. And this was an era of dominance for Montreal, and Gainey was a big part of that defensively. Not so much offensively, but again, he was a solid third-line scorer. I don't know where he was played, but he could be used as a third-line scorer. 1984-85, so now we're on this side of the board. He plays 79 games, has 19 goals, 13 assists for 32 points, a +13 and 40 penalty minutes. 1985-86, Gainey plays 80 games, has 20 goals, 23 assists for 43 points, +10 and 20 penalty minutes. So, 85-86, when he's probably early 30s, looks like maybe he has a little bit of an offensive resurgence. And also, this is the last year where Gainey won the Cup. He won 5 Stanley Cups in his career, and this was the last one in 85-86. And, well, you can tell by the stat sheet that was a pretty good offensive Montreal team if Bob Gainey's getting 43 points. 1986-87, he plays 47 games, 8 goals, 8 assists for 16 points, even +- and 19 penalty minutes. So now this is where things are starting to drop off. Gainey's defensive game is still there, not as much though, and with an 80s era where scoring was dominant and a 70s era where scoring was dominant, for a guy like Bob Gainey to be in the lineup, playing a lot of games, and maybe it was an injury, but I don't know. He misses half the season in 86-87. Moving on to 87-88, he has 78 games played, 11 goals, 11 assists for 22 points, a +- a +8, and 14 penalty minutes, and that is Bob Gainey's last full season. Wasn't full, if you're talking about a full season, that's 85-86, but 87-88 is his last season where he actually plays, more than half the season, because in 88-89, in his last year, 49 games, 10 goals, 17 points, for +13 and 34 penalty minutes. And after 16 years in the NHL, Bob Gainey decides to call it quits. And yeah, he retires the captain of the Canadiens. I bet if he played for 5 more years or 10 more years, he would have remained the captain. And now I'm going to get on to talking about Bob Gainey, because Bob Gainey, even though he wasn't a huge scorer or a guy that got on the stat sheet a lot, and you didn't honestly really notice Bob Gainey a lot either, but he was a great guy in the locker room. He was a motivator in the locker room for all the guys. Easily the best defensive player of the 70s. Basically, there's a lot of talk going around after he won a few of the Selkies in a row that you should just call it the Bob Gainey Trophy. And I'm not joking, because Bob Gainey is kind of the creator of the Selkie Trophy. He was just that good. And like, it just proves that you don't have to be a big time star or anything to be a captain or someone who gets in the Hall of Fame and wins lots of awards and cups, because Bob Gainey won lots of awards and he won lots of cups, and he's in the Hall of Fame not because of what he did with the puck in his hands, but what he did when the opponent had the puck in their hands. And going over his career, 1,160 games played, 239 goals, 262 points, assists for 501 points. So he barely passed 500 points in 1,100 games. You look at that alone, that's not Hall of Fame numbers. A plus 196 and 585 penalty minutes. Just a totally just great career. And when you look at the career stats, they don't show it, because just over 500 points, 239 goals, not even 250 goals, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So it's just, this is a player that no one talks about, and I feel like he needs to be talked about, because Bob Gainey is the, one way or another, Bob Gainey is the role model for every single defensive player in the league today. And you can thank him for your Sean Couturier's, your Ryan O'Reilly's, your Patrice Bergeron's, Anze Kopitar's. All of them come from Bob Gainey, because he showed them that you don't have to be super offensively good to get a roster spot and be successful in the NHL. So let's move on to the awards now. Bob Gainey is a 4-time Selke winner, as I said earlier. He won it in 78, 79, 80, and 81. He won all 4 of the first 4 Selkies, and was basically the reason why they made the Selke. When they sat down to make the Selke or a new award, they said Bob Gainey. Bob Gainey is going to be the winner of this trophy, no matter what. In 1979, Bob Gainey won the Conn Smythe on Stanley Cup's Montreal winning team. This was 2 years before he became captain, but obviously, again, didn't have a huge offensive impact in the locker room, but Bob Gainey's defensive game, it was so dominant that it won him a Conn Smythe on a powerhouse offensive Montreal team. And those are the guys that you got to look at and say, well, would we have been here without this guy, without his play, even if it wasn't totally dominant? Maybe not. And Bob Gainey won Stanley Cups in 76, 77, 78, 79, and finally in 86. And he is in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he is an awesome player, and I'm very glad that I can talk about Bob Gainey, even if nobody watches this video, because Bob Gainey needs to be out there more, and there's just so much good examples of today's game that Bob Gainey has faceted in, and he's a role model. He's a creator of a generation of hockey players where they're great offensively, which they learned from other guys like Sergei Fedorov or Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux. Their offense, they learned from those guys. But the defensive ability comes from Mr. Bob Gainey. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed, and leave a like, and go follow the Mr. Stamkos Instagram page, because I just made it, and you're going to get some, exclusive content on there. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. But for now, bye.